What if the biggest story in track and field this year wasn't just about a world record, but about the moment two generations collided on the same track? For years, Noah Lyles has been the face of modern sprinting. A world champion. An Olympic champion. A showman who thrives under pressure. Many believed his reign would continue without anyone truly challenging the excitement he brings to the sport. Then came an 18-year-old from Australia named Gout Gout. Only weeks after stunning the athletics world with a historic under-20 performance, Gout stepped onto one of the biggest stages of his young career to face Noah Lyles in a highly anticipated 150-meter showdown. Fans expected the teenager to learn a lesson from one of the fastest men alive. Instead, something much bigger happened. Noah Lyles produced one of the fastest performances ever seen at the distance, while Gout Gout answered with a remarkable run of his own, proving that his previous record-breaking performances were no accident. In just a few seconds, records fell, critics grew quieter, and a new chapter in sprinting began to take shape. But perhaps the most fascinating part wasn't who crossed the finish line first. It was what this race revealed about the future of athletics. One champion was reinforcing his legacy. Another was announcing that he truly belongs among the world's elite. And by the end of this story, you may see why this wasn't simply another race, it may have been the beginning of sprinting's next great rivalry. Long before this race captured headlines around the world, Noah Lyles and Gout Gout were traveling two completely different paths. One had already climbed to the top of the sport, winning world titles and Olympic gold while becoming one of athletics' biggest personalities. The other was still a teenager, quietly developing into one of the most exciting sprint prospects the world had seen in years. Yet in 2026, those two paths finally crossed. Noah Lyles entered the season carrying enormous expectations. As one of the fastest sprinters on the planet, every race he entered came with pressure. Fans expected victories. Rivals wanted to beat him. Every camera followed him from the warm-up area to the finish line. That level of attention doesn't happen overnight. It comes from years of proving yourself against the very best. Lyles embraced that spotlight. His confidence, energy, and ability to perform on the biggest stages made him one of track and field's most recognizable stars. Whether it was the 100 meters or the 200 meters, he rarely looked intimidated. Instead, he often looked like he enjoyed every second of the pressure. Meanwhile, halfway around the world, another story was beginning to unfold. Gout Gout wasn't entering 2026 as a household name. But among coaches, analysts, and dedicated athletics fans, people had already started paying attention. Every race seemed to end with another personal best. Every season brought another record. Then came the performance that changed everything. When Gout stormed to a remarkable 19.67 second 200 meters, the athletics world stopped what it was doing. The time wasn't just incredibly fast, it rewrote history for junior sprinting. Suddenly, comparisons with Usain Bolt were impossible to ignore. Some fans immediately declared him the future of sprinting. Others urged caution. Social media exploded with debates. Could an 18-year-old really be this good? Was this the beginning of another all-time great career, or simply one extraordinary performance under perfect conditions? Sports analysts filled television panels discussing his mechanics, acceleration, and finishing speed. Former athletes praised his composure despite his age. At the same time, skeptics argued that one race alone shouldn't define a career. The discussion became larger than Gout himself. People weren't simply talking about one teenager anymore. They were asking whether athletics had finally discovered its next global superstar. That growing attention also brought enormous pressure. Unlike many young athletes who develop quietly for several years, Gout suddenly found himself under an international microscope. Every training session attracted interest. Every interview generated headlines. Every upcoming race became another opportunity for critics and supporters to argue over his potential. Then came Oslo. Many expected Gout to dominate after his incredible performances earlier in the season. Instead, he faced one of the toughest realities every young athlete eventually experiences: competing against the world's very best is completely different from dominating at home. His performance wasn't poor by normal standards. In fact, most sprinters would celebrate running times like his. But expectations had changed. Because of his record-breaking performances, fans expected something extraordinary every time he stepped onto the track. When that didn't happen, questions quickly returned. Was the earlier performance simply the perfect race? Had expectations become unrealistic? Was the pressure already beginning to affect him? Those conversations spread rapidly across social media. Some fans defended the teenager, pointing out that every legendary sprinter has difficult races early in their professional career. Others insisted people had crowned him too soon. Ironically, the criticism may have become the best thing that could have happened. Instead of avoiding the spotlight, Gout accepted the challenge. He continued training. He continued competing. And he waited for another opportunity to prove himself. That opportunity arrived at the Golden Spike meeting in Ostrava. Unlike a traditional 100 or 200 meters, the 150-meter event offered something unique. It rewarded explosive acceleration while also demanding world-class speed endurance. More importantly, it created a fascinating matchup between an established superstar and the sport's newest sensation. Noah Lyles entered as the overwhelming favorite. His experience, championship pedigree, and dominance over the distance made him the obvious man to beat. For Gout, however, the race represented something different. This wasn't necessarily about winning. It was about answering every question that had followed him since Oslo. It was about proving that one disappointing result couldn't erase months of remarkable progress. It was about showing the athletics world that he belonged on the same track as Olympic champions. As race day approached, excitement continued to build. Fans packed the stadium. Television networks highlighted the showdown. Athletics communities across the world debated whether experience or youthful momentum would prevail. Very few people expected the race to produce history. Even fewer realized that by the end of those 150 meters, both Noah Lyles and Gout Gout would leave with performances that changed the conversation around sprinting forever. And what happened once the starting gun fired made the event even more unforgettable. When the athletes settled into their starting positions, the atmosphere inside the stadium felt different. This wasn't just another Diamond League race. It was a meeting between two generations of sprinting. On one side stood Noah Lyles, already one of the sport's biggest stars. On the other was Gout Gout, the teenager everyone had been talking about for months. As the gun fired, every fraction of a second suddenly mattered. Lyles exploded out with the confidence of a seasoned champion. Years of competing against the fastest men in the world had taught him exactly how to control a race. His first few strides were smooth, relaxed, and incredibly efficient. There was no panic. No wasted movement. Every step looked rehearsed. Gout, meanwhile, refused to be overwhelmed by the occasion. Many young athletes lose composure when racing an Olympic champion for the first time. The bright lights, the crowd, and the pressure often force them into mistakes before the race even begins. But Gout looked fearless. His opening acceleration kept him within striking distance, proving he wasn't intimidated by the biggest stage of his young career. For a brief moment, fans watching around the world wondered if the teenager might actually challenge one of the greatest sprinters of this generation. Then Noah Lyles reminded everyone why he has spent years at the top. As the race entered its middle phase, Lyles shifted into another gear. His turnover became even quicker while his posture remained almost effortless. The gap slowly began to grow, not because Gout was slowing down, but because Lyles was producing one of the finest runs of his career. By the finish line, the scoreboard confirmed what spectators had just witnessed. Noah Lyles had crossed first with a stunning world-best performance in the event, adding another remarkable achievement to his already impressive resume. It was another reminder that when Lyles is healthy and focused, very few athletes can match his finishing speed. But the story didn't end there. When fans looked further down the results sheet, another headline immediately appeared. Gout Gout had produced a sensational run of his own, setting a new world under 20 best for the distance. He hadn't beaten Lyles, but he had accomplished something almost as important. He had answered his critics. Only weeks earlier, some people questioned whether his historic 200-meter performance truly reflected his ability. Others suggested ideal conditions had exaggerated his talent. Some even claimed he needed to prove himself against elite international competition before anyone could call him the future of sprinting. This race became that answer. Running under pressure, against world-class competition, Gout delivered exactly the kind of performance his supporters had hoped for. He showed composure, speed, and maturity well beyond his years. Almost immediately, the conversation online began to change. Instead of questioning whether Gout belonged among the world's best, fans were asking how soon he might start defeating them. Former athletes praised the teenager for refusing to let one difficult race define him. Analysts pointed out that learning to respond after disappointment is one of the qualities shared by nearly every all-time great champion. Many also emphasized something else. At only 18 years old, Gout was still developing physically. Sprint specialists often reach their peak years later, meaning his best performances could still be ahead of him. That realization made his latest performance seem even more remarkable. Meanwhile, Noah Lyles received widespread praise for reminding the athletics world exactly why he remains the standard everyone else must chase. His victory wasn't simply about winning another race. It demonstrated consistency. Champions aren't defined by one incredible performance. They're defined by producing elite performances again and again, regardless of the competition or expectations. Lyles once again showed why experience matters. He understood when to accelerate, how to control the race, and how to finish stronger than anyone else in the field. By the time media interviews began after the event, the headlines almost wrote themselves. Some celebrated Noah Lyles for extending his dominance. Others focused on Gout's remarkable rise. Many described the race as a passing of the torch moment that hadn't happened yet, but suddenly felt much closer than anyone expected. And perhaps that was the biggest takeaway of all. One athlete had protected his throne. The other had proven he was worthy of challenging it. As the season continued, fans realized they weren't just watching individual races anymore. They were watching the beginning of a rivalry that could define sprinting for years to come. And with bigger championships still waiting on the calendar, the most important chapters of this story had yet to be written. As the excitement from the race began to settle, one thing became impossible to ignore. This wasn't just another impressive performance added to the record books. It felt like the beginning of a new era in men's sprinting. For Noah Lyles, the victory reinforced everything people already believed about him. He remains one of the sport's biggest stars because he consistently delivers when expectations are at their highest. Breaking another world best mark while defeating one of the fastest young athletes in the world reminded everyone that his reign is far from over. Champions don't simply rely on talent. They adapt. They evolve. And they know how to perform when every camera is pointed in their direction. Lyles showed all of those qualities once again. But perhaps the bigger long-term story belonged to Gout. Only months earlier, many people outside Australia had barely heard his name. Now, athletics fans around the world were discussing him alongside Olympic champions and world record holders. That kind of rise almost never happens overnight. His performance against Lyles wasn't viewed as a defeat. It was viewed as confirmation. Confirmation that his extraordinary speed was real. Confirmation that he could compete under pressure. And confirmation that he deserved a place among the world's elite sprinters. Track and field analysts quickly pointed out something else that should excite fans. Gout is still only 18 years old. Most world-class sprinters don't reach their absolute peak until their early or mid-20s. That means the athlete who already owns remarkable junior performances could still have several years of physical development ahead of him. That possibility alone has changed the conversation. Instead of asking whether he belongs, people are beginning to ask how much faster he can become. Social media reflected that shift almost immediately. Fans praised his composure after bouncing back from earlier criticism. Others highlighted how calmly he handled the growing attention, refusing to let outside opinions distract him from training and competition. Many even began comparing his journey to other legendary athletes who experienced setbacks before eventually dominating their sport. Of course, experienced observers also urged patience. One outstanding season doesn't guarantee a legendary career. History is filled with young stars who burst onto the scene before injuries, pressure, or inconsistency slowed their progress. That's why coaches and former champions continue emphasizing the importance of development rather than chasing headlines. For Gout, the real challenge is only beginning. Every race from now on will come with greater expectations. Every opponent will study his strengths. Every performance will be analyzed by millions of fans. Managing that pressure may ultimately become just as important as raw speed. Meanwhile, Noah Lyles faces a different challenge. Remaining at the top is often harder than reaching it. Every young sprinter entering the professional ranks wants to defeat the reigning champions. Every major championship brings fresh talent eager to create its own legacy. That makes every victory even more valuable. As the season moves toward bigger international competitions, anticipation continues to build. Fans are already wondering whether these two athletes will meet again under even greater pressure. A Diamond League race is one thing. A World Championship final or an Olympic showdown would be something entirely different. If both continue progressing, the possibility of future battles becomes incredibly exciting. One athlete represents proven greatness. The other represents unlimited potential. Together, they could become one of athletics' defining rivalries for the next decade. Perhaps that's why this race will be remembered for much more than the final results. It wasn't simply about who won on one afternoon. It was about watching one champion strengthen his legacy while another announced that his journey toward greatness has truly begun. Years from now, fans may look back at this meeting as the moment sprinting's future became impossible to ignore. Noah Lyles left the track with another remarkable achievement. Gout Gout left with something just as valuable, the respect of the athletics world. And if this performance is any indication, the biggest chapters of both careers are still waiting to be written. What do you think? Did this race prove that Gout Gout is ready to become the next global superstar in sprinting, or do you believe Noah Lyles has shown there's still a significant gap between rising talent and proven greatness? And looking ahead, could these two athletes develop into the defining rivalry of the next generation of track and field? Share your thoughts in the comments below because we'd love to hear your perspective. Some fans believe Gout Gout is on the path to rewriting the record books, while others think Noah Lyles is only getting stronger and isn't ready to hand over the spotlight anytime soon. If you enjoyed this documentary and want more in-depth stories covering the biggest moments, athletes, and rivalries in the world of sports, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next upload. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, today's breakthrough could become tomorrow's history. We'll see you in the next video.